Simanovskis. So when I was thinking about what to talk about today, so I crafted my title of the presentation, Building Technical Competence, Commonalities and Differences in Large and Small Teams. But when I actually started to think about what I will talk, yes, I'll probably talk more about values and motivation in building technical competence. And yeah, so if you tweet, so you can mention at rsim, follow me, ask questions. Actually, I will talk about different topics. I would really like to have questions. And so if you have very urgent questions, please interrupt me or keep to the end. And I would like to discuss about these topics. So shortly about my experience, about my timeline. So I started my IT career, business career in dark ages. It was 93. And so it was Deutsch-Lettische Bank, so which later became Hansebank Latvia, which would later become Swedbank, as we know today. And when I was trying to Google the logo of Deutsch-Lettische Bank, so I couldn't find it because in 1993, so there was no internet. And so the first website for Hansebank Latvia was built, technically by me in '96, and so that's the copy from the Internet Archive, the old Hansebank Latvia logo. And I was the second IT person in a bank's IT department, so the whole bank was about 30 people at that time. And so then in '96 I joined a IT services company, IT Odyssey. And then about that time, so there were about 30 people. And so then I became technical director there, so kind of CTO. And then around 2005, we were about 200 people. And at that time, so we were acquired by Finnish-Swedish corporation Teatro. And then, so this acquisition completed on the year 2010. And so then in Latvia, there were about 600 people. And so I was, during that time, I was kind of having this CTO role for this Latvian organization. So you see the pattern, right? So then I changed my mind in the year 2011. And so I decided to start to do something differently. So I founded my own startup, EasyBI, Easy Business Intelligence web application. And so I'm starting now from the scratch, and so now we have 4 people team. So I have experience of being a CTO in large IT services company, and now a founder and do everything what others are not doing in small startup. So during my career, so I came from a technical background. I was doing mathematics, programming, but then I wanted to become more and more like a manager. So my career has been a kind of manager versus geek. So that's the same person. So just to learn the audience, so how many of you are some kind of managers? So 10, and so how many are geeks? Or the rest, so they haven't decided yet what they want it to be. So because of my background as a geek, when I was doing kind of managerial role, I was it influenced my values and principles and how I wanted to do things and how I wanted to influence people. And the first thing is that, so I consider myself as a pacifist, but I like historical books and movies. And any Viking series fans here? So I especially liked the medieval and times where the leaders. So they were leading by example. So in the medieval times, so that these kings that were in the front line of the battle, and so they were by their examples showing others how to do that, so how to be enthusiastic about what you do, and so how to kill your opponent. And so later, as we see, so then the managers, leaders were in the back line, so just orchestrating, so you do and kill yourself with their front lines. But so I was kind of liking better this approach, and I was trying to use this leading by example principle also when trying to inspire and teach others. And so all the things that what I have been trying to preach and so that they are implemented, I always try to start to try myself before demanding from others. As unfortunately, quite often you have some managers also who are responsible for reading some Gartner reviews and deciding which technologies are good or bad, and then telling others, but without having any real experience in what it means. So personally, so I didn't find it quite right, and I always wanted to, when trying to preach something, so to implement something, I wanted to experience by myself, so how it feels to do something like that. So whether I see potential value doing it like that. And so then if you can't convince yourself that it would be a good idea to do that, so then you probably start to think that maybe that's not so nice idea as it's described on a paper. So so that's one of my first recommendations, so that you'll try to do something, so if you are in kind of managerial role, and whether it makes sense to you or not. And as well, so when you have tried something, so don't just tell about that, well, that's a good buzzword, and everyone should do that, but so try to show it. So by your example, or by doing together, and by trying to experience together, so whether this new programming language or framework or way of managing projects or doing things, so whether, so how it would look like, so how it would feel like. So that's a typical saying in many areas, so show and don't tell. And so it applies in our industry as well, so when you try to do something. And so that comes out to when I was thinking about my values. So one of my main values have been enthusiasm. And so I think that this is one of the preconditions for achieving something. So you need to be enthusiastic, something to achieve. And so when we are a larger organization and having many different projects, when you compare different projects and what's the reason and why some projects succeed and some don't, so quite many it was very correlated, whether you see enthusiastic people there or not. Because both have, whether these people are enthusiastic or not. The second thing is, this is a viral thing, and both enthusiasm and lack of enthusiasm is a viral thing. So some couple enthusiastic people can inspire others, and so that the whole team becomes enthusiastic, and vice versa. And so quite often when, for example, a good way how to discover so how this team feels like is go to some daily stand-up meetings. And so quite often I can see that some are just, well, bored, and telling, well, okay, we are doing something, well, I don't really bother what others are doing, and so you quite often can feel from these daily stand-up meetings so that there is lack of enthusiasm, so it has spread across the whole team. And sometimes it's also interesting that maybe each individual person there in this team is quite good and quite professional. They have been very good in some previous projects. And so why is it so that in this particular project, in this setup, why they behave differently? And so when I was thinking about that, so one thing what I have found that correlates very much is that there's a good book by Daniel Pink, Drive. I haven't read the book yet, so I have watched several videos by him. So you can find on the So anyone has watched at least the video by Daniel Pink, Drive 1, 2, well, the homework, so everyone do that. And so the essence of this book, so what he has investigated, that when you look at the motivation of the people, and especially the people who do some creative work, it doesn't really correlate with these sticks and carrots. Yeah? So whether you are paying them well, yeah, or you are making some penalties if they don't pay well. And even worse, that sometimes if you pay someone, yeah, well, I will pay you some 10% bonus if you will be more motivated or you will be more innovative, you actually might get worse performance. And why is it so? So that these extrinsic motivations don't work for creative work. And what he has found out that there are 3 other main so-called intrinsic motivations which come from inside yourself, well, which are influenced from the outside situation, which will improve your performance. This is autonomy, mastery, and purpose. And so what it means for any creative worker, so what is very important, that you have autonomy in your work, that you are allowed to make decisions how to do things, so how to solve this technical problem. This has been, when speaking about these unmotivated and unenthusiastic teams, this has been very, quite often correlated with that their autonomy is limited in very many ways. For example, they are restricted that, well, you need to use, someone said that you need to use exactly this programming language, this version, and this framework, and we have these technical limitations and these ones, and you need to do exactly like that. So, well, that's decided, you can't do that. So the more such kind of limitations you will have, the less autonomy the people will have. So their motivation will go down, because even we consider them as top specialists, but we are putting, limiting them that, well, you can't decide much, you need to be just code monkeys doing some code. Mastery, creative workers, so they like to improve their skill and become better over time. So if you have in your work the ways so that you can learn and become better while doing your work, so then you can improve your mastery. And purpose. So whether in this current project what you are working on, so does it make sense what you are building? So are you making a good thing which will help people, and so you will feel proud that you have been part of the team which have built that? So quite often what I have seen that there are sometimes there are some large government project that will go on for 5 years, and maybe it will be finished and maybe not, and you don't know, and so you can't influence much. And compare this, and I have been able to compare the same person when now working on a new startup project and then be able to ship new code version to production each week. So totally different attitude and totally different performance for the same person. So if you will see these purpose, so they will perform much better and will be much more enthusiastic. So that's the way, so how you can make people actually more enthusiastic and improve the team if you will remove some obstacles, limitations, give them more autonomy, provide better that they can become mastery, improve their skills, and try to find out some purpose on what you are doing, so whether this project is valuable or not. So there has been some bad examples what I have seen over my career that was unfortunately in IT services business quite often the projects are won in a beauty contest, so that you send your nice CVs of top specialists and then you put them in a very limited environment. And so there has been some examples, for example, some person, just now has started to love Ruby programming language, but then put on a project where they need to use Java 1.4 or something like that. So well, you are damaging that person, and so there will be very bad performance of that. Or just recently as well, some person also discovered Ruby, but then I was work on Lotus Notes, and of course, after a couple of months, he left the company. So if you tell someone, who he or she should love, so you will not get the good results. And from my old experience, I also wanted to mention that, well, sometimes you think that, well, if you have some limitation, for example, when I was starting to work in a bank in '93, so we just purchased the banking system, which was DOS-based and written in COBOL. But I was a second IT employee, and so I was having quite many freedom to do, and so I could improve my mastery in quite many ways. For example, so I debugged in assembler and find out how to avoid the license restrictions for this in DOS assembly. So it was a very creative work, even in ancient technology, or how to do. There were no APIs as we know them. So then I made some automatic keyboard simulations of how to type in all DOS-based forms some information, so just to get automated some data import. So it was when you have autonomy, even you can find fun working with some ancient technologies. And then the other some bad examples what I have seen is that some persons have, after 5 or 10 years of being in IT business, so they have decided, well, I'm a senior top developer, I have learned everything, and I have reached the final line, and so I don't need to learn anything more. And so they are very influence, also very unenthusiastic attitude to others in a team, as if others, younger people are looking at these senior people, and if they behave in that way, so you somehow need to put out of their comfort zone so that they don't feel anymore like, well, probably you were in this area top developer, but so now it's different setup, you are not top anymore. So one of the next my values, what I have discovered over time is professionalism. And so the main thing when talking about the professionalism and how do I understand it, that you should be responsible for your work. As quite often these large projects, so when splitting all this responsibility by different people, so it damages this, that you think that, okay, I did something, but then someone else will verify what I have did, and so maybe if something will go wrong, someone else will catch that and will blame them, if they will not catch that. So I was trying to change such kind of attitude and try to make people be responsible for your work. And so one of the practices, for example, so learning from Agile, and when you do some development in small iterations, and any developer at the end of the iteration demonstrated by themselves what they have done during this iteration. So not some project manager or some tester, but so then so to the final client. So if you have to demonstrate by yourself, so your product, and if you see by yourself that all the bugs are also ugly user interface by yourself, so it will quite quickly change your attitude. So I really recommend to try to force that as much as possible that everyone else demonstrates its work, as well as put developers their code in production and do things in production. Okay, initially they might screw something up, but that's the most effective way how to become responsible for your work, and so then how to learn so that all the ways how to automate your work and how to change all these previous bad practices, how to do that. And so you need to find different ways how to increase this responsibility for your work. One other principle and what I have been trying to share is sharing its value. So what have we done that previously in a larger company, so we tried to make also a lot of local, smaller tech community meetups, tech group meetups, or competence group meetups. And that's also quite where everyone can share what they are doing. And that has helped also quite often to improve your self-evaluation, that maybe you are not currently working with the top technology which is considered right now. But if you have people, like-minded people, and you are working with these technologies or with these tasks, you can share your knowledge and feel good about that you are a good person in this smaller community. As otherwise, especially in larger communities, maybe it's just that some very top performers are praised, and so there are maybe some top project managers or top coders, but so there could be testing meetups, there could be documentation meetups, etc. So where you can, in some smaller communities, can raise self-awareness of the people who are working with them, and that is much easier than in some smaller groups that people will start to talk and tell their experience each to other, not in a large group where everyone will be listening. So also, I'm an active open source proponent and participate in open source projects, and have been also stimulating open source contributions in our company. And there, one recommendation is so that encourage our people to contribute to open source, and also in a company paid time. So one typical worry of the top management is, well, that now our revenues will drop. So actually, so this option has been used by very few people, but those who really wanted to do that, and then if you allow them to contribute to open source on a company paid time, so that will improve their self-motivation much better than just telling, well, okay, after you have done your job, so do that. Conferences. Who have been to a tech conference outside Latvia in last year? Some third, people are very good, so conferences are very, I would describe them as vitamins, or as recharging your batteries. And it's quite often well, the bad practice, what I have seen, that well, this is considered in larger companies as a reward for senior people, and then, well, if you have worked hard for 5 years, then you finally got to the conference. And then when you got to the conference and you know that, well, now you need to wait another 5 years or more, then quite often after that visit conference they leave, so to the next company where they go to the conferences. And so I would encourage to stimulate and pay employees to go conferences around the world, and so which is compared to the total costs nowadays for people's salaries are the major cost in our industry, and compared to that, it's say much less these costs, and they would really help to charge batteries for your people, and they will improve. They will get the new ideas, so they will feel rewarded, and so their performance will improve. And so therefore, nowadays, when having a small team, so then decided so that each year all 4 people are going to tech conferences abroad, so to Europe, to the States, and so as I see that it gives a much better return on your investment. Sharing knowledge, so what I found out that one of the best way how to share your knowledge is pairing. So how many are doing pairing regularly? Very few. So I would really recommend so to try pairing, and so this could be used both for pair programming, but so it could be used by for any other activity. And So people are social animals, and so we learn our behavior by watching others. So if you want someone else to behave better and so to learn from you, so the best way how to do it is to do together. And so nowadays in a small team, so I think so that's probably the primary way so how to distribute this competence and this knowledge through the pairing, so to do things together. And so what I'll mention a little bit later, that what I have found that actually I'll find the final point to the remote work. So I have found out that sometimes the remote work actually can encourage pairing, because in office we are all working already together and socializing all the time, and then so therefore we don't want to socialize anymore when doing the programming or any other activities. So I'm doing remote work sometimes, so that's the socializing part when you're pairing. Yeah, so otherwise, yeah, so you're not spending your time together in a coffee break or in a dinner break. Yeah, so that was the last topic of what I wanted to talk about. So what I have discovered and tried out recently, remote work. So typically, well, when the teams which are telling that they're doing some remote work, so typically they look like this. And so that there's some core team also working together, and then some maybe are somewhere outside. And so then, in all aspects, so then these teams are like that. So they are not really working together. And so what I have seen that it's very hard to do this partly remote work, that the core team is in one place, all are in others. And because actually when you look at it, actually quite often all of them are working quite alone, as we just discussed. For example, pairing is done very infrequently, even if we are sitting in the same office. But so somehow the pairing is not done when it's so easy to go just to your colleague. So the whole communications, so they are oriented, okay, sometimes we have some meetings and things like that where we can discuss things. When we are doing the actual work, so this whole work environment is not organized for remote work. And so therefore, so the most effective way is, if you want to implement remote work, so start doing it so that everyone is remote. And then you find the problems what you need to solve. As working remotely doesn't mean that you don't communicate, vice versa. So the communication should be the same. So you just need to find different tools how to do remote work. And so when I started startup, so then I decided by myself that I didn't want to travel each day from Jurmala to Riga and spend some more than 2 hours a day driving through traffic jams. And so therefore I was reading about experience of others, so I decided that I want to start to build from scratch fully remote team. And so nowadays we don't have any office, everyone is working together. And but we have found also what are these communication problems, what we need to solve, and how we should build this communication platform for our remote work. And so typically I would say that the minimum of things what you need to have is a common chat room. We are using HipChat for that, so there are many tools for that. And so this is kind of this asynchronous chat. Whenever you are asking somebody something, you do it via chat. And so this helps that, then you can configure your notifications so that you don't get distracted. But then that's a good way that, when you speak in person, some things, so then everything is lost. So if you do it in chat, then others can also browse through and notice some things which are currently done and can have a look on that. So the other thing also which we use every day is screen sharing. And so we are doing that for pairing and doing pair programming, code review, or other activities. And so when we feel that we need to do, there's some more complex things that we need to solve, so we just our chat agree, okay, are you available now? Okay, let's do a screen sharing. Regarding tools, I can recommend the screen here, what we have found as the best tool for screen sharing, because so both of you can see both cursors, and so when you speak, so you can point to something with your cursor and other see that, and you can simultaneously type anyone. So there's no, you don't need to switch from one presenter mode to another presenter mode. And so nowadays, I would say that I'm doing pairing much more than I was doing when sitting together in office. Because sometimes, if you compare that, well, to go and to sit at some other's desk and well, ask, well, can I interrupt you now and let's do some pairing? And then maybe not all workplaces are suited for pairing. And so there are a lot of obstacles why pairing is not done in normal offices. If you're doing it remotely, so you just sit in your chair as you did, so you don't need to worry about how you look or smell or whatever. The joke. And you don't watch on each face if you don't need to do that. So you just do the work. So you both are sitting at your own computer and the keyboard, so this has been. We're doing communication over screen sharing much more often than previously. And then we have a common for customer support. So we have a common have a tool for customer support, customer emails, and everyone has access to that. And so there are a person who is primarily responsible for support, but anyone can join any support request. Anyone sees what's going currently on. As a hip chat room, so there are also links to all support emails coming in, and so everyone can see there and get a feeling of that. So whether you do get a lot of your customer support emails and about what topics, and everyone has access to that. And use Trello boards for planning our work and development work. So we do communication and do a lot of communication. It's just you need to find different solutions, and now it doesn't matter whether you are sitting in the same office or in different office. So I have become in our small team now, when we were able to start it from scratch. Very fond of our remote work, and which gives much freedom to us. Yeah, so these were the topics and values and motivational things that I wanted to share with you. And if you have any questions, I would be happy to answer. Thank you.
I like the idea of the remote pair programming. So it really means that you can pair programming with someone who you don't really like. So you just ask them, are you going to stay at home tomorrow? Yes, and then you can pair programming. Yeah? that's good.
Yes.
I would like to ask about time difference of remote. How would that affect work?
Well, currently, so our team, as everyone is Latvia, so internally we are working like that. But then we are working, so half of customers are from the United States, for example, and then but then it's for remote team. So well, it's can be adjusted then, so you can adjust your time schedule as needed. For example, you can agree with some American customer to do some screen sharing, so we do screen sharing with customers as well in the evening, and then you can go in the morning to the gym when it's completely empty, for example, and when there's no traffic jams. So you are much more flexible also in terms of planning your own work. And well, so if you need to communicate all the time, also within your internal team, so don't have much experience, but so what typically other teams are trying to agree, okay, this is some couple of hours when it's more or less overlapping with everyone, and so then maybe we are concentrating in that team on some more intensive communications. In the rest of time, so we do we are working alone on things, and sometimes when working with some American customers, so you can do, well, if you agreed in the evening something, so you can do next morning implement their problem, and then when they have morning, so then it's already solved, and they are very happy about that. Well, yeah, it depends. So just agree, and so when you are available, and share the knowledge when you are available. Okay, so let's start here.
Yeah. About a remote job, the one problem is you usually have kind of some problem with separating your home time from your job, because basically it's the same room. And how do you mitigate this? This is one question. And the second is, don't you feel like you need to get to some people to talk to them, because you usually at the office you got a lot of conversations, but at home you don't.
Yeah. So the best setup, of course, is if you have a separate room or separate corner in your house or flat where you can make it as a working place. And so for me, I have a separate room which is a working room. But so some others who haven't, but then for them it's also maybe similar that if they are having kids, so when the kids are at the school, so then they have a time when they can work, so when the kids are back, so then anyway it's hard to work, and so it's kind of organizes your time in this way. So it depends, but so the best way is if you could make a different place, or at least different table where you know, okay, when I sit here, then I'm starting to working. Or also having some morning rituals. For example, I eat breakfast, and then I make some tea. So I like TDD, tea-driven development. And then I grab my cup of tea, and then I sit at my computer. Okay, so now I'm set. So that's my morning ritual. So what to do, and now I switch to the working mode. So I don't need 1 hour traveling through traffic jams, and switch to that mode. So the next question was
about conversations with other people, about like some.
Conversations with other people,
it?
So one thing, so that's why I agreed to come to these meetups, so because when you communicate less in your everyday, so then you are more happy to come to the meetups and discuss. But then we try to make at least once a month common meetings for the whole day when we discuss different things, or we sometimes also go all together to some conference or to some other event where we are then spending some time together. So regularly. About once a month, it's good anyway, so to see personally people. But so then you don't get so fast bored with others as well. Yes. Yeah. And there was some.
No.
Okay.
There was two.
Small comment that I find that BDD is a lot better than TDD. If you don't overdo it.
In the late mornings. So.
But the question is.
I did it recently when I need to make my accounting papers for the December. So then I did BDD. So to get through that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then the question is like. Remote work seems to be the main topic, because I also checked Twitter, and somebody wrote that a lot of the things are done on Ask FM. I know that we do a lot of the things except the remote work. So have you identified any problems that you were not able to deal with, that you haven't yet found the ways to deal with? Like one example that you already mentioned that came to my mind, like regular meetings, like it's nice to see who you're working with face to face at least once in a while. Probably not every day, but still. So, have you found anything that you?
Well, so probably for me as a kind of team leader, so sometimes it's I'm thinking about whether the other persons right now, if I'm not communicating with them, so whether they are understanding everything what we talked about better. So sometimes this face contact, when you can see by face whether they understand whether they're comfortable, and sometimes that is missing, and so therefore if I haven't just did some screen sharing with someone else, at least hearing their voice, so then I maybe try to ask us whether everything is okay, and what we haven't tried, so what others have done, but I'm not very comfortable yet with that. That others remote teams have made that they have a camera all the time taking pictures of you, and then there's some website, so where you can see all the time the faces of others. So internally, I still myself, I'm kind of more introvert person, and I don't feel yet very comfortable with that, and therefore I haven't suggested that. I don't have experience with that, whether that would help with that you see your faces of others all the time. Time's over. So there was a question over there.
I had a question about motivation. That Henry Ford, in his famous book, My Work Life, he wrote that the only one motivation and actually the lever how you can influence the employees is their wanting to get paid and their fear not getting paid. So the question is why he did succeed so well, and is this working now? Or as you are contrarian to this version, to this opinion, you said it's not working anymore, or
so I haven't done these studies, so what I have read and watched about these studies by the others, and so what Daniel Pink told that, well, for simple mechanical jobs, for example, if you would be asked, to bring these bricks from this place to that place, and if you will bring them faster, we will pay you more. So then this works. So if there's simply a task like that, so then it works. Then there are scientific studies. So when you offer that we will pay you more and, do some creative work and find some new solutions out of that, so it doesn't work. So by paying more, so by offering, we'll pay some carrot if you do it better, so you won't get better results. So for the employees, you just need to pay fair. And it doesn't mean so that you need to pay them less. So you need to anyway pay fair salaries. But then and then maybe so you can for some who have a long time you maybe do some bonuses based on that. But so this bonus is based on your performance typically they are not working. And so from my experiences, it's so when we have did some of these bonus schemas, so then no one anyway considers these bonuses as their salary. Okay, maybe we'll get lucky or not, and they will mostly be dissatisfied if they don't get these bonuses, and not very satisfied when they get these bonuses. So I haven't seen myself proof of performance-based bonuses looking like that. So there's small amount of people which are entrepreneurial type of risk-taking people, and then sometimes just in some occasions like some salespeople, so might for them it might work better, but for in such creative professions like software development, I don't think that the performance-based bonuses work.
And also one question about I read latest trend. I don't remember the company, as I remember it was Richard Branson who introduced new thing like you can take day offs as much as you want. So did you read about that? And how do you think is future of companies, or it is like some double standard? And how do you think about this development of companies in such way?
Well, so you probably you probably just need to, each team might be different, and you might need to discuss with people, so whether, and so to have just some common understanding, that's how much you're going to work, as what you want to work. So then I trust the people, so I don't look at them, so whether they are really spending so much time or not, and then it's mutual understanding. Okay, in our case, it's mutual understanding that you are working about 40 hours a week, and but then so there's no if you need to take some day off when needed, so then it's okay. And I haven't experimented with that, but so most probably the effect might be like I mentioned with the open source, that maybe you can take that to do that, but so probably everyone will still do it, will not take extra vacation because they will feel guilty about that. And then I don't know whether it's then so that's the also question now. So whether then it's you give it, but then if people are quite often, especially in larger corporations, what's written in some policy and how you are actually evaluated, then maybe officially it's written that you need to work 40 hours, but in some places you are valued only if you work 60 hours per week, and so then the written policies and actual policies might be different. And so I think the best way is the written policy and actual policy is the same thing.
Okay, thank you.
You're building a great company with a great culture. While hiring new people, what qualities are you looking for?
Well, so currently, so I have been mostly hiring people which have worked previously, and then it's probably mostly the trust. And so that I'm trusting these people that I can give them, and then so they will take responsibility, and that's and so who are professional in this sense, and yeah.
For me, it's very interesting that you don't have office, but you have clients. So how do you deal with your clients? Where do you get in touch with your clients?
On internet, so.
On internet,
Yeah, so.
Don't you
What?
see, know each other?
Well, so we go to we go to some conference. Well, we have one conference. So okay, we get our customers currently mostly from the Atlassian customers. So we make add-on for Atlassian products, and then we go each year to Atlassian conferences and several conferences. And then we make some stand, and then so we have several times per year possibility to meet in person with some customers who are coming to these events. But then, so we build mostly our knowledge about the customers from support emails, and then doing also screen sharing with them and teaching some things, and then trying to build together with them as some reports, charts, what they need, and so trying to solve together their needs, and that's has been so not to ask what you need, but so the better is to just do together and try to achieve what you need.
How long do you practice that remote work, and how big is the team that working remotely?
So currently it's 4 people, and so I have been one, so it's then now 1.5 years. So what I have been growing my team, and so the last year is kind of this full experience of what we have been working and still functioning.
How do you think is here some limitations for the team size to work remotely? You can manage 4 people remotely, but how about 40?
Well, so that's how with every team, that it's if the team is larger than some 10 people, so then probably it's not any more team. Then there start to make some clusters of teams, and also for larger, you probably also need to group that there are some clusters, and but then to make these matrix organizations, what have been made in some large corporations, so maybe it's even easier for these remote teams, and then you don't need to be in the same office building. Okay, you have one chat room, for example, for chat, how it's typically solved. You make several chat rooms. So these are, for example, developers, these customer support, there are some marketing people. You can have these electronic channels, and how you automate some notification who gets to know what is easier. Yeah, so one thing, so that we don't, also want to mention that we don't use email inside our communication, so we have removed everything, for example, so chat has replaced that, and then it's probably easier. But in general, it's if you start to grow larger, so then you probably, in any case, need to think that you need to group in some smaller teams, which are about 10 people.
Okay, that's it. Run out of time.
Yeah.
Thank you. This is great. So.